everyone, welcome to episode 4 of SIFTD HQ. It's been flying by, man.
It's been trucking.
We're cranking though.
Yeah, we've been making it.
We're making it happen for sure. This is our variety show. It's kind of like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. We are gonna give you a couple tips, or hints anyway, for this episode. There's a hardware review in this week's show, and also Mitch.
We're going to the movies.
Mitch goes out to the movies. He does a little bit of a vlog for you guys. It's a different time right now.
Oh my gosh. Like, if there's ever a time to do a vlog.
Right now is it.
Right now is the time.
Yeah. And Mitch obviously takes an angle with it, you know, kind of looking at how the coronavirus has affected everything. So, should be a really good piece. Let's check it out.
Hey guys, what are the new games this week, you ask? Well, welcome to Noobs, where we give you just that. Before the coronavirus forced us to quarantine, escape rooms were a growing social experiment where you solve puzzles with friends. We're guessing those won't be happening anytime soon, so do it virtually with the Room VR, A Dark Matter. You play as a British officer searching for a missing scientist. Use your detective skills to earn your badge on all major VR platforms, March 26th. Side-scrolling puzzle adventure games are thriving these days with games like Limbo, Braid, and Inside. A Juggler's Tale is the latest to take on the genre, but with some strings attached. Puppet strings, to be exact. The entire game takes place inside a puppet show, and the animation absolutely sells it. We look forward to pulling some strings when it launches for PC and both current and next-gen consoles in 2021. How did the fish in the tank from Finding Nemo get back to the ocean? We're about to find out with I Am Fish. The spiritual successor to I Am Bread has you controlling a fish in a glass globe around treacherous environments. Make one mistake and you're going to end up all wet. We begin our trip to the beach in 2021 on all major platforms. After months of rumors, Call of Duty Modern Warfare Battle Royale mode was announced and launched within 2 days. Called Warzone, it supports 150 players, has full vehicle support, and currently supports 2 different modes. Best of all, it's free to play, so anyone can get in the action. There are already over 15 million players online, so pick up your favorite controller, clear a lot of space on your hard drive, and try to be the last man standing.
I'm Shane Satterfield for SIFTD News, and welcome to The Big Six, the 6 biggest news stories in gaming for the week ending March 17th, 2020. While Sony remains coy with PlayStation 5 details, Microsoft revealed the final information on Xbox Series X, minus its price and final release date. Series X has 4 times the processing power of an Xbox One, and its GPU running at 12 teraflops is twice that of an Xbox One X, and more than 8 times the original Xbox One. The console will also feature HDR for backwards compatible games, and while its solid-state drive will lower load times, it also means mechanical external drives will no longer work. The new controller was also detailed, which has rounded bumpers and an updated D-pad. The coronavirus continues to ravage the globe, resulting in a brutal week for cancellations. E3 2020 joins that list as the ESA moved from postponing the event to canceling it altogether. The show is already tracking for a bumpy landing after Tastemakers IM 8-Bit pulled out. It appears that the industry's most important annual event will be reduced to a series of digital asset dumps. The Last of Us Part 2 releases on May 29th, so developer Naughty Dog probably dodged any issues it would have had with E3 in June. However, it has been unable to dodge Kotaku reporter Jason Schreier. As a follow-up to his previous reporting on the studio's work culture, Schreier published another expose on the company. It appears that crunch hasn't changed since then, and that some developers were nearly killed by a falling object while working late one night. The studio may finish on time, but at what cost? Speaking of cost, the lack of one for Call of Duty Warzone is making it exceedingly popular. The free-to-play Battle Royale spin-off of Modern Warfare was both announced and launched this week. It's off to a rip-roaring start as 15 million players downloaded and played the game in its first 4 days of availability. It's tracking very closely to EA's Apex Legends, which featured 25 million players in its first week. We're guessing just as many people will line up for LEGO Super Mario when it releases later this year. It's not your typical LEGO set though. Some of the characters and pieces are fully interactive and even include small screens. You're also not just building things, as you can create games to play as well. No word on pricing yet, but you might want to pre-order as soon as possible if you don't want to end up waiting. We're used to waiting with WB Games. It released Mortal Kombat 11 and a Lego movie game early last year and has published nothing since. Fans have been anticipating the unveiling of its new Batman franchise, a Harry Potter game, and a new series from Rocksteady Games. And the wait will go on. Kotaku's Jason Schreier is reporting that all three were scheduled to be unveiled at E3 2020, but that's obviously not happening now. The hope is that they'll be debuted soon in some other way. That's it for the Big Six, the six biggest stories in gaming for the week ending March 17th, 2020. We'll see you next week.
Hey guys, Mitch here, and we're going to do something a little bit different today. We're going vlog style, and we're actually going to do something. We're going to go see a movie together. Bloodshot just came out this weekend, and so we're going to go check it out together. We have a movie theater here that I live nearby in Westwood Village, which is about northwest of LA. It's in between Hollywood and Santa Monica, and there's a historic theater here where it has had tons of premieres. It's done things like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, it's done all the Harry Potter films, it did the original Fast and Furious, when I was here it did Doolittle already, so it's a very historical theater. It's a Fox theater, and we're gonna go check it out. Let's go. So there it is, the theater that we're gonna go into to see the movie. Now there is a theater next door, if you noticed before, and that actually has hosted some premieres. It is part of the Regency brand of theaters, but this one itself is the historic Fox theater. The other one is not affiliated with that in any capacity, but I have seen premieres at both theaters. And what they do is they cut off this street right here. They'll cut off that entire street, and then they'll make a red carpet for both theaters if they're doing one event there. They did a Doolittle premiere a while back when I first got here to Los Angeles, and they did real animals, which was quite impressive to see. So I was quite surprised they did that, but it was really cool to watch. So that is it. So we're gonna go ahead inside. Let's go. So I just got out of the theater seeing the movie Bloodshot. My first initial thoughts was, in the theater, there were only 5 people, including myself in that theater. The last time I was in that theater, I maybe had about 30 people inside. Because this is so close to campus, and the last film I saw was Birds of Prey in that theater, I didn't expect a lot of people in that theater anyways, so that's not a great sample size, but it shows the significance. And the other thing I noticed, no one wanted to sit in the middle. Everyone wanted to sit in the back ends or even on the sides of the theater. No one wanted to sit in the middle, and I was thinking that was maybe because of Corona, that they're nervous that that's where most people would sit. So if they were fear of getting the virus itself, that's where they wouldn't want to sit. Involving coronavirus in general, since that's kind of been the trend happening right now, things have been shutting down around Westwood. Not everything has been shut down. The place I work has not shut down, but there are stores that have shut down, there are restaurants that shut down, and literally you can go by and it's about every other to every third store is shut down, either for a couple weeks or until further notice. The other thing you could look at to indicate how bad Corona has been affecting this area of Westwood is also the In-N-Out local here. Lines are usually out the door every time I walk by this place. In this place, it's not empty, but it's definitely like 1/3 of what they usually get for business is right at that In-N-Out at the moment. It's not as intense as probably in some other places of Los Angeles, because students here seem to be a lot more calm about the situation, have been reading up a lot about things, and feel comfortable going out. That's still the case. There's a bar that I walked by that was totally full. So there's still opportunities for people to go out if they want to, but you could definitely tell that the virus is really affecting how people and their lives were affected in general with everything going on with Corona. Initial thoughts on the movie itself, it was good. I actually enjoyed it. So I'm a person that enjoyed the Pitch Black, Chronicles of Riddick, and Riddick, and I think this franchise for Vin Diesel definitely has that same type of quality, except with a bigger budget. So, and I think that improved the film. I think the film is a lot better than what people are going to give it credit for. It's definitely a nice B-tier movie. It's not one I say like run to the theater right now. Unless you're a fan of the Chronicles of Riddick films, definitely go see it out in the theater. If not, I highly recommend checking it out when it's on streaming. It's got a decent story. It's got a couple good characters. And Vin Diesel's acting is actually surprisingly well, especially in the first 5 minutes of the film. There's a scene that I'm not going to talk about, but there is a scene that really shows off a dynamic that you don't see with Vin Diesel with acting, and I think he did a really good job of it. All right, let's head out.
Hey everyone, here on SIFTD HQ, we're gonna review stuff. And we're kicking things off not with a game, but with a piece of hardware. And the first piece of hardware we're gonna look at is the Xbox Series 2 Elite controller. Now I know I'm a little late to the party on this, but Sifter Justin bought me this for Christmas this year. I appreciate it very much. However, I have been unable to use it to this point because there haven't really been any Xbox games coming out worth playing. That'll change this week. I'm playing Ori and the Will of the Wisp, and I'm also playing the beta of Bleeding Edge. And so I finally busted out my brand new Xbox Elite Series 2 controller, and I've been using it now for a few days. We're gonna kick things off with a bit of an unboxing. Just wanna show you guys what you get when you crack this thing open. I just wanna start things off by saying, if you didn't know already, this controller costs $180. That's 180. Now there have been some deals for it over the last couple months where you can get it down to like 150, but that has been the best price I've seen so far. So let's just start this off by saying that this costs 180 bucks, and I think that will help kind of frame the rest of the eval. So first things first, let's crack this thing open and show you what you get inside. All right, so the first thing is they give you this cool carrying case for your controller. The really cool thing though is that there's a port on this case so you can recharge the controller while it's actually inside the case. That is some pretty cool stuff there. The controller, and I'll open it up here for you. Let's get this box out of the way. The controller, see, goes in there, and then the way the case is set up, it forces you to put it in the perfect spot so that you can then charge it through the case. So inside here, you have the controller, and then you have all the customizable stuff that you can use to customize the controller. There are analog sticks, there's a D-pad there, and then inside the rest of the packaging, so you get a USB-C charging cable. It's braided. It's also really long, which is nice. So it's a nice USB-C cable, which means it'll charge quickly, and it's not unsightly, the cable itself. The other thing is that once charged, this controller will last for 40 hours. 40 hours on one charge. And I'll say this, I charged it when I got it, made sure it was full. Although typically when I get new electronics, maybe it's just me, I run them until they die and then I recharge them. But for this one, I actually charged it as soon as I got it. I have not had to recharge it since I charged it. It's still going strong. So let's take a look at the controller itself. You can see on the back, these are paddles. For those of you who use normal controllers, you're probably like, what the heck are the paddles? The paddles are basically just ways to replace face buttons with buttons that you may prefer to use with your fingertips on the back of the controller. The analog sticks come with multiple options. So let's see. There are, I believe, 6 different analog sticks that come with the controller. Now there's not 6 different ones. There's 3 different ones, but there's 6 total. So 2 of them you get a pair, and they're like the medium and the normal size sticks. And then there are 2 of the other ones that kind of have there's a wider top and then there's a deeper top right here, and you only get 1 of those a piece. So I guess the idea would be whatever your dominant hand is, or whichever hand you want to feel like you have a bigger analog stick for, you can install that just on the stick that you want it. But keep in mind that you only get 1 for 2 of the sticks. This is the tool that you use to adjust the tension of the analog sticks. So there's 3 different settings, and I think for most people those 3 settings are going to be more than enough to make sure that they can set their sticks to something that they feel like is functional and is going to help them perform as well as possible. So here I'll pull out some of the analog sticks for you guys. So you have So you can see one is indented, one is actually kind of rounded, and I prefer these, the ones that your thumb can kind of fit down in and then kind of lock into the analog stick. Can understand why some people would prefer the more rounded version, but not for me. Then you can see you have a short stick and a longer stick. So some people like their analog sticks a little bit higher off the controller. Some people like them near the base of the controller, and you have that option. There's also a D-pad, which, if I can get it out, well, I'll leave it in there for now, which replaces this kind of, I don't know, I don't want to call it goofy, but you can see there, it's also kind of concave, so your thumb fits in it, but there's no definitive kind of direction with it. I've chose to keep this on. I actually enjoy using it, but what I like most about it is that it doesn't feel clicky like the D-pad on the base Xbox One controller, and I actually have one here. So you can hear this. Hear that? That's the D-pad on the base Xbox One controller. And here it is on the Elite. Way quieter, different action, all that kind of stuff. Here is a charging base that sits, you can see it's got the connectors there, that sits inside the case because it's actually what connects with the case for the charging. So it's basically lining up the controller correctly with the charger, so when you plug it in through the case, it actually works. Weight. This controller is really, really heavy. And I don't mean like, oh, if you put it on a scale, you can notice a difference. As soon as you pick this thing up, you immediately feel the difference. So this thing weighs, when it has everything installed, it weighs 360 grams, which may not sound like a lot, except for the base Xbox One controller weighs just 280 grams. And then the DualShock 4, the PlayStation 4 controller, weighs just 210 grams. So I can tell you without a doubt that when you pick up this controller for the first time, you're gonna say to yourself, this is the heaviest controller I've ever held in my hands. Now, some people are gonna say, oh, that's fine, that means quality, that means it's solid state. I would agree with that, but it is still the heaviest controller I've ever held. And I have not yet played a game that's run into like the 40 or 50 hours. I've not done a session with this yet where I played it for 8 or 9 hours straight, so I don't know if eventually over time it does start to wear out your hands a little bit. I actually like the extra weight. It makes it feel like it's a quality product. Another thing, and you're starting to see this on the base Xbox One controllers too, are rubberized grips. So this grip here goes all the way around the controller, and it's textured and it's rubberized. It's really hard to slip your hands off of it, even if they're a little bit sweaty. And again, for comparison, you can see they've started to do this a little bit with the base Xbox One controllers. It doesn't wrap all the way around the grip though, it's just underneath. So you can see the black on this white controller, that's the rubberized grip, but it doesn't go all the way around the controller like it does on the Elite. Here is a more traditional D-pad that you can just kind of snap onto the controller. And I would say that installing all of this stuff on and off of the controller is very easy, very user-friendly. I would not let a kid do it. And I think I would say in general, don't buy this controller for a kid because there's all, you can see, there's all these little parts that could be lost, could be broken, could be installed incorrectly. If you do get one for your kids, I highly recommend you essentially handling all the stuff as far as setting everything up. So a lot of the adjustments you have to make on this, you have to make by hand. And like I said, I showed you the tool earlier that they give you to adjust the tension on the analog sticks. But there's also a bunch of stuff for this controller that you actually have to do through an app. And the app is obviously a Windows app or a Mac app where you connect your controller and then your computer speaks with the controller and you can go in and set up a bunch of different things. So it's called the Xbox Accessories app. It allows you to utilize exclusive configuration options such as button mapping. So one thing you can do with this controller is even if the game doesn't allow you to customize your controller, you can go into the app and you can set any button on this controller to whatever action that you want. It's very easy to use, it's very quick, it's very seamless. Rumble is another thing that can be adjusted inside the app. And this controller doesn't just have rumble, it actually has two different types. It has impulse triggers. And I don't know if you guys remember, but the base Xbox One controller also had kind of rumble just in the triggers. Well, they've taken it to a different level here with the Elite. And so you have separate rumble in these controllers, and then there's a separate rumble that works across the entire controller. Using the app, you can also set up voice commands for things like record that or take a screenshot. You can also assign buttons as a modifier or like a shift key. So let's say all these buttons aren't enough for what you want to do in the game or with the controller. That's okay because you can set it up so that when I tap LB, it changes the functionality of all the other buttons. So while this controller, I believe, has 18 buttons, conceivably it could have up to 36 just by using one modifier button, which changes the functionality of all the rest of them. You can also set up to 3 different preset controller configurations on this controller. So say you like one setting for first-person shooters. You have another setting when you want to play Forza. You have another setting when you want to play a fighting game like Street Fighter. So you can save up to 3 on the controller itself, and then there's a button that you use to just flip through all those different configurations. Microsoft also claims that every component in this controller has been re-engineered, which I would assume would be to increase its life, to lower the weight, although they haven't done a very good job with that, to be perfectly honest with you. This controller is definitely heavy, but Microsoft has basically redone the entire controller, the Elite controller, from the ground up for the Series 2. On the back here, there are these 2 switches with 3 different settings, and these are the hair trigger locks. So basically, you can set how responsive these triggers are with these switches on the back. If you want it to just pull a little bit and activate for maybe a shooter, you can set it up that way. If you want to have more leeway, maybe for like a driving game, so it doesn't go so quickly from 0 to full throttle, then you can set it at a more passable setting, and it should work across pretty much every genre, just depending on how you like to play. So I guess in closing, I would say this is the best controller I've ever owned, the best controller I've ever used. Without a doubt, hands down. In my opinion, nothing's even really close. So thank you guys very much for buying this controller for me. However, is it $180 worth of better? I think that's where I gotta draw the line. Did it help me play better? Maybe a little. I think still ultimately it comes down to your skill. I will say this, all the ways you can adjust this controller guarantee that you're gonna feel comfortable while using it, no matter what genre you're playing. So it does make it more flexible and give it a wider range of effective use. But at $180, I mean, you could buy 3 regular controllers for that price. You could buy 2 sets of Joy-Con for that price. It's too much. So for the average person, I would say do not buy this. I don't think the benefit that you get is worth the cost. However, if you're thinking about buying an Xbox Series X here at the end of 2020, maybe start putting away $5 or $10 a month for one of these. And then when the new console launches, you can get the console and you can get this sweet controller, and then you're pretty much set up for the next 5 or 6 years. So I would not recommend buying this if you're just on the tail of the Xbox One generation and you don't know if you're gonna move on to Xbox Series X. Maybe you're thinking about PlayStation 5 this time. I would stay away. However, if you have money to flush down the toilet and you're just looking for the best product possible, this is definitely it.
Hey Sifters, it's time for Turn It Up Tuesday, where we select the games, albums, movies, and TV shows you should be looking out for. The great video game drought of 2020 ended last week, and this week is by far the best week of video games so far this year. If you ever wanted to race golf carts over rocky terrain, Overpass has got you covered. There's no driving game quite like it. Getting to the finish line is not just about speed, but also how you tackle the technical obstacles in each course. Online leaderboards should keep you engaged trying to shave milliseconds off your times. It's available for all major platforms. Doom made an exciting return in 2016, and after a delay out this past holiday season, we are totally ready to go to hell in Doom Eternal. Earth is overrun by demonic forces, and it's up to you and your BFG to send them packing, and you can do it in ingenious ways. The meat hook is a grappling chain attached to the shotgun, which allows you to bring enemies in close for an explosive surprise. Multiplayer has been reworked with new asymmetrical options that will put your skills to the test. It releases Friday for PC, PS4, and Xbox One. A Switch version is coming in the fall. If you'd rather live in your happy place, Animal Crossing New Horizons is coming to the Switch this week. Take a trip to an island paradise where you and a handful of your best friends can build, farm, explore, and share to your heart's content. A new weather system dictates the tasks that are available, and the seasonal changes are more than just cosmetic. With both local and online multiplayer support, even if you build your sandcastle in the sand, there's plenty more to experience. Your vacation begins on Friday. Now on to new albums this week. Whether you like her genre of music or not, there's no denying that Alicia Keys is one talented singer and songwriter. Her 7th studio album launched on Sunday, so it's hot off the press. She worked on her memoir at the same time, so expect some truly personal tunes. Remember Adam Lambert? He was the dork that got runner-up in American Idol way back in 2009. Well, he's still a dork, but since then he's carved out a decent pop career for himself. His new release is the second part of his first album in 4 years, called Favette Side B. It jumps on the EDM train, which may provide a bumpy ride for some of his fans. Proceed at your own risk on Friday. Our pick of the week comes from new wave and post-punk group Moaning. Their new album Uneasy Laughter channels equal parts The Killers and Future Islands with a dash of White Lies. Tracks include plenty of synth strings and driving bass guitar that build to a hook-filled satisfying crescendos. We're picking it up ourselves on Friday. Now let's move on to movies and TV. The coronavirus is throwing the film industry into a tizzy, and with no new movie releases this week, we figured we'd update you on everything that's been delayed. A Quiet Place Part 2 was set to release this Friday, but director John Krasinski has pulled the movie until further notice. That's not the only film to disappear. Peter Rabbit 2, which is an Easter movie, is being sent out to die on August 7th. 007, No Time to Die, is now slated for November 25th, while the next entry in the Fast and Furious saga, F9, has been bumped almost an entire year to April 2nd, 2021. Disney has also been busy rescheduling its roster. Mulan, New Mutants, and Antlers have been postponed until further notice. This leaves Black Widow as the lone film still set to be released on April 24th. Of course, that could change depending on the response to the virus. With these delays, Disney is in a tough spot trying to make sure its films don't cannibalize each other. The situation is definitely fluid. Cowboy Bebop and Ghost of the Shell represent some of the most beloved and critically acclaimed anime. Their creators have produced an anime spin-off for Altered Carbon called Re-Sleeved. It fills the gaps between season 1 and 2 of the popular Netflix show, as Takechi Kovacs must protect a tattoo artist while investigating the death of a Yakuza boss. Even in this crowded medium, the art style manages to stand out, so hopefully the writing and story can carry their weight as well. It's available for streaming beginning March 19th.
Okay, that's it for episode 4 of SIFTD HQ. Were you surprised at your experience going to the movies right now?
Not really.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
kind of expected that. I was surprised that there was anybody out, to be honest with you.
I was a little surprised by probably how many people were in the theater,
Yeah.
but you know, again, I've only went to that theater one other time so far since I've been here in LA,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
the sample size is not the greatest. But definitely, I will say, since I've done the vlog, which was only a couple days ago, man, like things have shut down more.
Oh yeah. Even here in LA, things
Saturday
now,
night, it was quiet.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It took it a while. Like, you know, all my friends in Pennsylvania, stuff has been going on for days and days now, and it's just finally starting to hit here. I went out to dinner on Friday. It was business as usual. Restaurant was packed. Then I went out on Saturday night, and the restaurant was barely half full.
Yeah.
So even here in LA, a big city, like it's like driving over here today, there was nobody. It's pretty much a ghost town in Los Angeles right now. So everybody, I know you've heard it a billion times. Keep washing your hands. I think at this point my hands are like raw.
Oh, I have so much lotion that I've used so much. That's probably the thing you should be stocking up on, not the toilet paper.
Not the toilet paper.
The lotion.
Yeah, and let's just address that really quickly. Stop buying toilet paper, people, if you don't need it. It's absurd.
Also,
they're gonna keep making it. There's not a finite number of toilet paper. They're still making it. Stop buying it. I was in Target last night. This old man walks in, can barely walk, literally can barely walk, was like shuffling his feet in. He doesn't even go into the store. He just walks up to the registers and just starts talking. And he is like, I need toilet paper. He's like, I have been driving around all day today trying to get toilet paper. I can't find it. I am exhausted. I'm 84 years old. My wife is sick in the car. She can't even get out of the car. Does anybody have toilet paper? And Target's like, no, we've been sold out since the morning or whatever. And then a couple people around were like, I'll give you some. I have some at home and I'll bring it to you. And he was like, well, I don't want to give out my address and my phone number to strangers, blah, blah, blah. Stop buying toilet paper.
Well, and I would
crazy.
say the other thing is I know people have been going out to the groceries and buying all the groceries. They'll be back in a couple days.
Yes, nothing has stopped being made.
We don't have shortages of things like we do.
This is what's causing the real problems.
I understand
hysteria, panic.
I understand the panic and the hysteria, especially because there's a lack of information, especially here in the United States, about how big this actually is.
About anything, really.
About anything in general. But it's a time where like things are still going to be available to you. So it's not the time to be you stocking up. It's not that.
Also,
moment yet.
under quarantine, you can still go to the store.
And they still will fill the stores. Even
the stores, the pharmacies are going to stay open forever. You're not going to starve.
Even the countries that are in quarantine, they still have abundance of groceries. It's more of, some people are not going to have jobs right now.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be really tough. So I'd say if you can be safe, still go out, support your local businesses that are out there, because for someone like myself, my hours got drastically cut, so I'm basically not working. And that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, if you work in the restaurant industry right now, you probably need to be looking for like something else. But then,
what do you
is
look
there
for?
something else?
You can't. That's the issue.
That's crazy.
It's so insane. But there's just everyone,
be safe.
Be safe.
Yeah.
Look up.
Do the right thing. Be safe. The best part about this, honestly, at least for people like us, is that we don't really have to change our lifestyle all that much.
No.
This is when the nerves rise. I mean, let's be honest. We're used to sitting at home all weekend, playing games, watching movies, watching Netflix. It's been funny to watch the rest of society become us for like a week. Some of them aren't handling it so well.
That's true.
It's funny.
Well, yeah, and unfortunately, there's like some content is coming out, but all production on a lot of stuff is stopped. It's like this is the stuff you should be ramping up your stuff, because you get the most audience you've ever had. Like,
I mean, just so you know, like, we're gonna keep producing stuff here until they tell us we can.
Yeah.
We're in the studio right now. I'm hanging with Mitch. Mitch is young and healthy. I'm fairly young and healthy. I feel pretty safe, just a couple of us being here in the studio. So as long as we're allowed to keep doing content, keep doing shows, Game Face and SIFTD HQ and all our other stuff, we're gonna keep doing it. So while you guys sit at home, we're hoping to be able to keep zapping stuff into your home so you can be entertained while you wait this thing out. But be smart, listen to what people are saying. They're right, the scientists are right. Wash your hands, stay away from big groups, and we're all gonna be okay. So we'll see you next week. SIFTD HQ is out.